Please like the video, subscribe my channel. The quiet secrets of a nation that understands welfare is a small island nation, where silence often teaches more than words. In the crowded trains of Tokyo, it isn't unusual to see a millionaire sitting quietly beside a student or an office worker. No expensive watches flashing, no loud conversations about success. Just calm faces and humble routines. To many outsiders, this seems strange. How can people who live in modest apartments and wear simple clothes often be incredibly wealthy? The answer lies not in money, but in a philosophy. A philosophy quietly passed from one generation to another. Let me tell you a story. 1. The notebook that changed a family's future. In the winter of 1932. A young mother named Eiko Tanaka sat at her kitchen table in a small wooden house in Osaka. Her husband worked long hours at a textile factory. Despite his hard work, the family always struggled to save money. One evening, after paying the monthly bills, Eiko sighed and whispered to herself, "Where does all the money disappear?" The next day she bought a simple notebook. Nothing fancy, just paper and ink. That evening she wrote, milk, 25 yen vegetables minus 90 yen children's sweets, 40 yen day after day. She recorded every expense, but something interesting began to happen each time she wrote a purchase. She paused and asked herself a question. Did we really need this? Within months, the family's spending habits began to change. Waste disappeared. Savings slowly grew. Years later, their children remembered that small notebook as the moment their family's financial life transformed. Not because it made them rich overnight, but because it made them aware. True wealth, they learned, begins with understanding where your money goes. 2. The lesson of the old craftsman. Many years later, in a quiet village workshop, an elderly carpenter named Mr. Haruto Sakamoto was stitching together small pieces of leftover fabric to wrap his tools. A visitor once laughed and asked him, "Why keep such tiny scraps?" "They're useless," the old man smiled gently. "Every piece carries someone's effort," he said. Throwing it away means forgetting that effort. To him, nothing was worthless. Food, clothes, time, money, everything deserved respect. Children in his village were taught the same idea. Never leave rice in your bowl. Every grain represents a farmer's sweat. Slowly, this belief shaped how people lived. They repaired things instead of replacing them. They valued what they already had. And over time, this mindset quietly protected their wealth. Because sometimes people don't become poor from earning too little, but from wasting too much. 3. The farmer who lived to 104. On a peaceful island far from the big cities lived Kenji Morita, a farmer who reached the age of 104. Every morning he walked to his small vegetable field. He cooked his own meals, worked in the garden, and greeted the sunrise with the same habit he had practiced his entire life. Before every meal, he whispered softly, "Stop before you are full." When a journalist once asked him why he followed this rule, he laughed. "When the stomach is completely full," he said, "the mind becomes lazy." He believed balance kept the body strong and the mind clear. But his philosophy wasn't only about food. He applied the same idea to life. Don't overfill your schedule. Don't overfill your home with things. Don't overfill your life with unnecessary desires. Leave space. Because sometimes happiness grows best in empty space. 4. The student, the master, and the 3 stages in Kyoto. A young apprentice named Riku dreamed of becoming a master sword maker. On his first day, he expected to learn the secrets of forging steel. Instead, his teacher handed him a broom. For months, Riku cleaned the workshop floors, organized tools, and watched quietly. Frustrated, he once asked, "When will I begin learning?" The master replied calmly, "You already have. First, the apprentice must follow. Copy every step. Observe every detail. Later, Once the basics become natural, the student may adapt. Add personal understanding. And finally, after years of practice comes the final stage. The student no longer copies or adjusts. He creates something entirely his own. This path from imitation to innovation was how mastery was built, not through shortcuts, but through patience. 5. The New Year cleaning ritual. Every year in late December, a grandmother named Emiko Watanabe began a tradition her grandchildren found exhausting. She cleaned everything: closets, windows, shelves, drawers. Nothing escaped her attention. Her grandchildren once asked, "Grandma, why do you clean so much before the new year?" She paused, wiping dust from a wooden table. "If the old year's mess stays," she said softly, "how will the new year find space to enter?" But her cleaning wasn't only about the house. She also let go of old regrets, arguments, and worries. Old papers were thrown away. Broken items were discarded. It was a way of making room. Room for fresh energy, room for new opportunities, and maybe even room for peace. The quiet meaning of wealth. World often believes wealth is loud. Luxury cars, big houses, expensive lifestyles. But in many quiet corners of Japan, wealth looks different. It looks like awareness. It looks like balance. It looks like respect for what you already have. Because real prosperity isn't about how much you display. It's about how wisely you live. And sometimes, the richest lives are the quietest ones. The quiet secrets of a nation that understands wealth. Part 2. The deeper lessons. Years passed. The small stories of Eiko Tanaka, Haruto Sakamoto, Kenji Morita, Riku, and Emiko Watanabe slowly spread through towns and cities. They were never famous people. They never wrote best-selling books. Yet their quiet habits shaped a culture that many people around the world still struggle to understand. Because the deeper secrets of wealth were not about earning more. They were about living differently. 6. The power of small daily improvements. In a busy Tokyo office worked a young employee named Daichi Ito. When he first joined the company, he was overwhelmed. His colleagues worked faster, made fewer mistakes, and seemed far more experienced. One evening, he asked his senior colleague, "How do you become this good?" The senior smiled and said only 2 words: "Small steps, every day." Daichi tried to improve just 1%. He wrote clearer emails, organized his desk better, learned one new skill each week. Nothing dramatic happened at first, but months later something surprising occurred. His work became smoother. His confidence grew. Opportunities started appearing. What he didn't realize was that small improvements, repeated daily, quietly transform a life. Like drops of water filling a lake. Slow. But powerful. 7. The businessman who refused to rush. In Osaka, a businessman named Takumi Sato built a small manufacturing company. While competitors chased quick profits, Takumi believed in something different: patience. When a large investor once pressured him to expand rapidly, he politely refused. "Growth is like planting a tree," he said. "If you pull the branches to make it taller, you will only break it." Instead, he focused on long-term stability. He treated employees like partners, invested profits carefully,